What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Zeb, and welcome to the Rehab Christian Center Tuesday night experience we call Bible study, life study. And it's good to be here with you tonight, virtually in this space, but live and in living color. And grateful you have chosen to tune in with us tonight. I want to say a good evening to all of you, wherever you're watching and from whatever outlet you're watching on. Again, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I want to walk through the networks really quickly. We've got to get into part 2 of Start Over. This has been another very powerful Tuesday night life study lesson and life study experience and life study series that we've, inadvertently fallen into, as we always seem to. But I'm excited about part 2, and we'll be able to finish this series tonight. But I'm going to give you 3 reasons why starting over is critical, right? Starting over is really critical. We talked a lot last week about 3 things to remember relating to starting over. But tonight I want to give you 3 critical reasons why starting over is important. And it's going to impact you in a very practical way, in a biblical, but also very practical way. And that's how we do it here at Rehab. So it's good to see you virtually. And thank you so much for tuning in. Let's walk through the networks. As I'm doing this, I want you to go ahead and start sharing this video. Make sure you say hello in the chat area, regardless of the network that you tune in on. Say hello in the chat area, and then start tagging people and telling them to tune in. Start sharing this video on whatever network that you're on, so that as many people as possible can be reached with this very valuable lesson tonight. Again, part 2 of Start Over. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why it's important. It's critical that you start over. And this is in any area of your life. It's not pertaining to any one area at all. It's really open to any area of your life. You can apply these principles. And I think you're going to find tonight very relevant and very timely. Let's go through the networks. Facebook, good evening to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those of you that are tuned in via Facebook, thank you so much for joining us. If you have not already, make sure you say good evening in the chat area if you're on Facebook. Also, if you're on Facebook, I want you to like this video. If you really enjoy our ministry, I want you to hold that like button down and convert it to a love button and turn it to a love, and then hit the share button, hit the @ symbol. And I want you to tag 5 people if you're on Facebook and tell them to tune in tonight to Virtual Life Study. We are teaching part 2 of Start Over. And this is going to be a very powerful lesson. And I'm grateful that you've joined us and tuned in tonight, Facebook. So again, thank you so much. Those of you that are tuned in via Facebook for tuning in tonight and being with us. And again, hit that @ symbol and tag 5 of your closest friends, family members. Tell them to tune in right now. We've got about 40 minutes to teach, and it's going to be powerful. You're going to be glad you did, I promise you. Instagram, good evening to you. Those of you that are tuned in via Instagram, that came to church on time on Instagram. I always give the Instagram folks a hard time. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're on Instagram, make sure you say good evening in the chat area. Also, if you're on Instagram, do me a favor, make sure you fill it up with hearts. Let us know you're tuned in. And then I want you to hit your @ symbol, just as many of you are starting to do now. Hit your @ symbol, go down your friends list and start tagging your friends. Tell them to tune in tonight. Our Instagram numbers have really been rising, especially on Sundays. And so grateful for those of you that tune in via Instagram that have been inviting people to tune in. I certainly hope that the messages and the experiences have been very timely for you and your guest. And so I'm very grateful that you've done that. And so grateful that you've tuned in on tonight. So thank you so much, Instagram, for tuning in. Fill it up with hearts. Hit the @ symbol, tag 5 people quickly. Tell them to tune in. And if you're working out, if you're cooking, whatever you're doing, put your headphones back in and tune in tonight for a very valuable lesson we know you're going to get a lot out of. YouTube, good evening to you. Those of you that are tuned in via YouTube, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you have not done so, follow us on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube. I was trying to fight that yawn. I felt it coming. You can find us on YouTube at TheREHABCC. That's at TheREHABCC on YouTube. If you just type TheREHABCC in the search box, you'll see our channel. Follow our channel, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell notification icon so that you're notified every time we go live. And also hit the share button on YouTube and share the link with somebody that you know. We have a lot of followers. I was talking to somebody about this earlier today. There's still a lot of people that are not on Facebook, that are not on Instagram, that are not on Snapchat, Twitter. There are people that aren't on social media at all. And some days I wish I wasn't. I'm not going to lie to you. There's still people that do not use social media. And though YouTube is considered to be social media, it is one of those avenues that you can enjoy all types of networks and channels without having to have an account. And so I want to encourage all of you that are tuned in via YouTube to share the video. Share it with as many people that you possibly can. Share the link. Tell them to tune in tonight. I'm excited to be teaching part 2 of Start Over. Again, this is going to be great. And I'm so grateful that you all have tuned in. Well, I've got 7:14 Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to go ahead and get started tonight because I do have about 40 minutes of teaching that I've got to get in tonight so that we can finish this series that did not start as a series, but turned into a series, as they tend to here at Rehab. But I want to get through this so that we can certainly shift gears next week. There's a direction that I need to go into next week. And so I've got to get through this, and I've got a lot to get into. So part 2 of Start Over. I want you to put the comment or the topic in the chat area if you have not already. Start Over part 2. Put it there, and I'm going to be giving you several verses. I'm going to be kind of all over the place. But in essence, I'm going to give you 3 critical reasons why it's important to start over. That's what I'm going to give you tonight as a part of part 2. 3 critical reasons why it's important to start over. And where we left off last week is the first note that I'm going to give you, because I think this is a great entry point before we get into some practicality and some scripture to support the practicality so that you can apply this to your life. And I want to start here, and I want you to record this in the comments. Learn how to be gentle on yourself. That's where we left off. I don't know if you recall that. If you were tuned in last week, we were talking about it, and I was challenging all of you to learn how to be gentle on yourself. Many people have difficult times starting over in all kinds of areas of their lives because they are too hard on themselves. And I'm not suggesting that you cannot be hard on yourself. It is okay to be hard on yourself. It is actually okay to set standards. Let me reword that. It's actually okay to set standards for your life and expectations for your life and expectations from you, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But as a person, or coming from a person who has historically sometimes been too hard on himself, I will tell you there is a space where you have to learn how to be gentle on yourself and afford yourself the grace necessary to be able to start over. What is grace? Grace is really nothing but favor. When God puts grace on your life, he puts favor on your life. And so you need the grace, you need the favor to be able to start over. And sometimes when you're too hard on yourself, after you've made a mistake, after you've failed, after something has not worked the way you planned it, after something has fallen apart that you thought would never fall apart, whatever the case may be, the context doesn't matter. It is easy and it is convenient. And we talked about this last week. It is convenient for the devil to keep you in that, right? And so you've got to learn how to be gentle on yourself. You can't let guilt, you can't let shame, you can't let hurt, you can't let disappointment, you can't let heartache, you can't let all of these things paralyze you to the place or to the point rather, where you find yourself stuck in a place of not being able to move forward. Why? Because you have been too tough on yourself for the past, right? You've been too hard on yourself for what's happened in the past. And again, I want to make sure I'm crystal clear here. I'm not suggesting again that it's necessarily problematic that you are hard on yourself, but most people tend to just go too far. Right. And you've got to find that balance. You've got to find and toe that line between being tough on yourself and being gentle on yourself, because there will be moments in your life where you will fail and things won't go the way you planned and things won't move the way you hope they would move. And the convenient thing would be to start blaming you for why things failed, or to start being overly harsh on yourself for why things didn't work out. That's the convenient thing. And if we're honest, the devil does that. He plants those seeds in your mind. See, if you were smarter, the business would have worked, right? If you were wiser, if you were smarter, you would have done better in school when you went back to school, right? If you were a better person, the relationship would have worked, right? The devil will start planting all of these seeds in your mind. You have to be very careful not to consume all of them. And it doesn't mean that sometimes some of these thoughts aren't true. There are some thoughts that you may think that could very well be causes for reasons why you failed or reasons why things didn't work out. But hear what I'm saying. When you live in the cause, you find yourself being overly harsh on yourself. I'll say that again. Whether the cause is true or not, whether the reason is true or not, when you live in that space, more often than not, you find yourself being overly harsh because all you're replaying is the negative, right? All you're replaying is what I call the would've, could've, should've's, right? I would have done this. I could have done this. I should have done this. All you'll do is replay that. And as you replay that in your mind, if you would imagine yourself with a shovel in your hand, digging a hole, right? The more you replay the negative, the more you dig a hole where you're standing, and you get deeper in things like guilt, like shame, like embarrassment, all of these things that keep us and prevent us from being able to start over and move forward. All right. And so again, I want to start there before I give you the reasons. I think it was really important to remind you that at the end of the day, you're gonna have to get to a place in your life where you learn how to give yourself grace. And see, it's easy for us. We will scream out, we want people to give us grace. Can you give me grace while I work on this? Or can you give me grace while I fix this? Or can you give me grace while I work on this and try to be better in this space? But let me tell you something. Sometimes you're going to be the first person to extend yourself grace. And I really, I had a conversation with a young lady, it was a few weeks ago, who was sharing some things about, having a baby out of wedlock. And I think this is an easy example to use, especially in the context of church. And a young lady has a baby out of wedlock, and, just the challenges she had to endure, at that time. And, the way people looked at her, the way people judged her, the way people gave her a fit, the way people, what's going on, big bro? The way people, judged her, gave her a fit, did all of these things because she had a baby out of wedlock. And I had to tell her, when you're in a situation like that, where people are throwing stones at you, you're not going to get grace from people first. Sometimes the first recipient or the first distributor of grace is going to be you. Because I've discovered that most people's initial response to your failure is not grace, unfortunately. And this is even more so the case in the church. The church is the one place where people's response to people failing isn't what they shout about, i.e., I'm going to pray for you, i.e., I'm going to fast for you, i.e., I want to see you win, blah, blah, blah. Folks say that stuff in church, and then somebody falls, and what's the first response? Oh, I knew it. I knew she was wild and smashing everybody. I knew he was wild and smashing everybody. Most people don't tend to offer grace as the first commentary. They don't. And so I want to make this very clear to all of you, and especially those of you that have ever fallen, failed, or struggled in the public eye. You better learn how to give yourself grace. Y'all better listen to the old man tonight. You better learn how to give yourself grace. You better learn how to be gentle on yourself, because if you waiting on people to be gentle with you, if you waiting on people to be gentle on you when you mess up, 9 times out of 10, unless it's your family, people that are close to you, whatever, folks not going to give you the grace that you can give yourself. Because most people can't handle your mistake, can't handle your failure, can't handle your fall, and still see the best in you. Is this making sense to anybody? So you got to learn how to be gentle on yourself. Now, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you got to start over. All right. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you have to start over. I want you to type that in the comments now. Again, like this video, share this video if you haven't already. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you have to start over. All right. And I'm going to give you some Bible verses. I don't have time to really read them tonight. I'm going to give you some verses. I'm going to give you the reasons. I'm going to give you some points to connect this in. But I'm telling y'all, this is going to be practical and spiritual. But I want y'all to really tie this in. I'm serious. I want y'all to hear what I'm saying tonight and really apply this to your life. Apply this to your life. I'll be honest with you. I have a heart for people who fall. I can't explain it, but I do have a heart for people who fall. I have fallen in areas of my life before. And I have a heart for people who fall. And the reason, especially people who want to get their lives together, who want to live better lives, who want to do better. I have a heart for them because I know that the same people who praise you today are the same people who will crucify you tonight. I'm telling you what I know. And again, this starts with our ability to be gentle on ourselves. 3 reasons why you have to start over. Reason number 1, y'all ready? Record this. You gonna be the smartest person at the water cooler always. All right. Reason number 1. You ready? Record this. Sometimes doing nothing is more dangerous than moving forward. Sometimes doing nothing. All right, I'm giving you 3 reasons why you have to start over. Sometimes doing nothing is more dangerous than moving forward. Okay, record it, type it quickly. I got to move. Sometimes doing nothing is more dangerous than moving forward. Isaiah chapter 40, read this when you get a chance. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 28 through 31, the New Living Translation. Isaiah chapter 40. I told you I'm giving y'all a lot tonight. So y'all, I need y'all, my typer bees, my moderators to really move tonight. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 28 through 31, New Living Translation. All right. Sometimes doing nothing is more dangerous than moving forward. If you read that verse, it is the prophet Isaiah that God uses to encourage Israel. And he reminds them that even when you're weak, he gives you power. When you don't have strength, he gives you power. Right? Why? Because sometimes when you are going through a difficult moment or a difficult season, whether you realize it or not, no decision is sometimes a decision. Okay, I want to explain this. Sometimes when you're in a difficult season of your life or going through a difficult thing or a difficult failure, sometimes no decision is a decision. Right? And so when you are pondering, hey, do I start over? Do I go back to school? Do I start over, try this again? Do I try the business again? Do I try that again? Do I, start over in this area, whatever area? When you're pondering this decision, you have to evaluate the pros and cons of sitting versus resetting. You have to evaluate the pros and cons of sitting versus resetting. Am I going to sit here and risk what happens with doing nothing? Or am I going to reset myself and pursue whatever I failed in, whatever I didn't do well in, and pursue that and take the risk that it still could fail again or it might work? But I'm telling y'all, sometimes doing nothing is more dangerous than moving forward. I hate the doctors. Told y'all this Sunday, I went to the emergency room the weekend. I hate the doctor. I hate going to the doctor. But this is an easy way to understand this example. If you don't feel good and you real sick and you hurting in certain areas that really shouldn't be hurting like that, you can sit there and do nothing if you want to. Right? Very practical. You could sit there and do nothing. And in doing so, you risk that it could get worse and really materialize into something that can't be reversible, right? Or you can do something about it, go to the doctor, the emergency room, and discover, hey, it wasn't that big of a deal, right? It wasn't as serious as what I thought, but at least in doing something, you erred on the side of caution and you went with the percentage that had the smaller amount of risk. 9 times out of 10, in most situations, this isn't a perfect science here. What I'm about to say is not a perfect science, but 9 times out of 10, when you're faced with a situation where you're posed with the situation, do I start over or not? 9 times out of 10, your ability to move forward, 9 times out of 10, is almost always the better decision than sitting still and doing nothing at all. I can't explain it other than to chalk it up to life experience. Life experience has taught me that oftentimes, 9 times out of 10, when it comes to situations in your life where you need to start over, 9 times out of 10, it is almost better that you do something than to just sit there and watch and do nothing and wait and hope. 9 times out of 10, it's better for you to do something. Okay. And so you have to do this. Now, I hear some of you default. Well, Dr. Zia, what if I pray? I'm gonna make some people upset here. What if I pray, Dr. Zia? You said do something. I need to start over in a certain area of my life, and I'm gonna pray, and I'm gonna sit here and wait on God to answer. There are 2 things I got to share with you. Number 1, when it comes to praying to God, there are only 3 answers you will ever hear. I've taught this at rehab so many times. Y'all should know this. There are 3 answers when you pray to God that you will always hear. It's only one of 3. It's yes, no, or wait. And sometimes you don't hear wait. Sometimes you hear silence. And the silence doesn't mean yes. The silence doesn't necessarily mean no. The silence means wait. Parents, use your kids as an example. If your kids run in your room like they run in mine, Daddy, can I get a honey bun? Can I get a Swiss cake roll? My kids have it to a science. I'll say, yeah, they can go get it. I'll say, no, they can't go get it. And sometimes I'm in the middle of something and I don't say nothing. That doesn't mean go get it. God worked the same way. Y'all pray to God. We pray to God and ask him, hey, can I have this? Can I start this? Can I do this? And we don't hear nothing. And we think, oh, that means I can go. I got the green light. Doesn't mean that. Again, there are 3 responses you always hear from God. It's yes, no, and it's wait. And wait can be in the form of words or silence, right? But it doesn't mean yes, no, or wait are the 3 answers you get from God. But wait or silence doesn't mean proceed. That's the first thing I want you to know. The second thing I want all of you who are prayer warriors who say, hey, I can't do nothing, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to pray and I ain't going to do nothing. I'm going to sit here. I don't know how I'm going to solve this problem, but I'm going to sit here, I'm going to pray and I'm going to wait. For all you prayer warriors, the other reason why sometimes you got to move forward is because faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. And here's the easiest example I can give you. Believe God all day that you want a new job. Come on. Believe God all day that you want a new job. You just graduated from college. You just graduated with your certification or whatever you're doing. You just graduated with your licenses, whatever you do. You just got all of that stuff. And now you're saying, well, God gave me the degree. He gave me the certificate. He gave me the experience. He about to give me a job, and believe him for it. And I want you to believe him, but also do me this favor. Don't fill out no applications. Believe God for the job, but don't fill out no applications. And then ask me how soon it's going to be before you get a job. It's going to take a while, sis. It's going to take a while, bro. See, this is practical. Now, I don't want you in your mind to think, well, if I go fill out applications, that means I don't trust God. Doesn't mean that. Listen to me. God is a miracle worker. I'm telling you from personal experience. I have not posted my resume anywhere. It's been a very long time since I posted my resume on a job board. A long time. In fact, most of the jobs that I've received over the last 15, 16 years I've been referred for these jobs. People reach out and say, hey, you on my heart. I remember you did this. I knew your experience from this. I got this coming up. Would you like to apply? So he's a miracle worker. God can literally send people to you and offer you opportunities that you never even asked for or applied for. All right. So I don't want y'all to misunderstand me and think that I'm minimizing God. I'm not. But for all of y'all that really want a job, that want a new career, let me tell you something. Trust God. Believe God. But reason number one, sometimes doing nothing is more dangerous than moving forward. That's especially true in a job search. You want a new job, you got to do something. Believe God, pay your tithes, do that stuff. That's great. But you got to do something, which means you got to have a resume together. You got to throw a suit on. You have to go out here, beat the pavement. You got to do something, or else you're doing nothing becomes more dangerous than moving forward. Does that make sense to anybody? Like, it doesn't get more practical than this. All right. And sometimes we miss it because we over spiritualize our lives. I'm gonna get in trouble here. I don't have a lot of time to talk about this. I'm just say this quickly. I did TikTok last week about this. And therapy. We over spiritualize our lives. The Bible tells us that in the multitude of counselors make war. That's in the Bible, which means that even if you're going to go to war with people, if you're going to go into battle with people, if you're going to be at odds with people, it tells you go get you some therapists or counselors. So that when you make decisions around wise people. Church is the only place that think as long as you pray, and if you're crazy, as long as you pray, you don't need to go somewhere and get a therapist. You don't need to go somewhere and get a counselor. I literally heard a preacher within the last 30 days on a live tell his congregation that they did not need therapy when they had Jesus. This is a true story. And I'm telling y'all, that is another example of how sometimes doing nothing is more dangerous than doing something. Yes, trust God. Yes, God can heal your mental issues. Yes, God can heal your stress and anxiety. I know this to be a case. I've been there, done that. And you right about that, Sister Ashley. She said the church and the Black community, because we good for it. For some reason, we still have this stigma. I've got a lot of friends who are therapists, counselors in the social work field. We have these conversations all the time. And there's still this stupid stigma in our community that if you go talk to somebody, something's wrong with you. And it's crazy. That makes zero sense. I'm telling you, counseling and being spiritualized is a classic example of this, in that you can have God, but if you having a problem, pray. Please pray. Seek God, pray, ask him for wisdom. You got a pastor you reach out to him, text him, call, whatever, tell him to pray for you. And then I want you to go right to them white pages and find you a therapist and go sit on that couch. I'm being honest with you. I'm being straightforward with you, right? Because again, sometimes doing nothing is more dangerous than moving forward. I'm giving you 3 reasons why starting over is important. That's reason 1. Again, reason 1, sometimes doing nothing is more dangerous than moving forward. Reason 2, y'all like the video, share the video quickly. I'm almost done. I got to hurry up and get this out in 15 minutes. All right, reason number 2, you ready? Record this. If you let it, pain can reinforce your purpose. I'm giving you 3 reasons. Yeah, it sure saved me too, Sister Ashley. I'm giving you 3 reasons why moving forward is important, or starting over is important. If you let it, pain can reinforce your purpose. If you let it, pain can reinforce your purpose. Here's another scripture reference. I don't have time to read it, but you got to go back and read this one. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 14 through 19. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 14 through 19 in the New Living Translation. And 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 6 through 10 in the New Living Translation. Again, that's Isaiah chapter 43, verse 14 through 19. That's 2 Corinthians, and these are New Living Translation. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 14 through 19, New Living Translation. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 6 through 10, New Living Translation. If you let it, and that caveat is very important. If you let it, pain can reinforce your purpose. In these two particular texts, you see dialogue between the prophet Isaiah and the children of Israel in one, and then you see dialogue from Paul in the other. And they're both talking about the struggles they've gone through, the things that have happened to them, Paul individually, Israel collectively as a group, the things they've experienced. But the net end game of that was God telling them, or God reminding them, everything you've gone through is nothing compared to what I'm about to do in your life. Everything you've gone through is nothing compared to what I'm about to do in your life. Let me tell y'all something. Nothing gets you refocused like hurt. This is good, right? Are y'all listening to me? Nothing gets you re-locked in. Good evening. Thank you for saying good evening, those of you that are just tuning in tonight. Nothing gets you locked in your life like heartache, like hurt, like disappointment, like pain, like failure. If you let it, nothing can get you driven for real like being disappointed, like failure. See, a lot of people fail, and what do? They allow failure to be the narrative for the remainder of their lives. So they tried to start a business, it failed, and what do? They say, I'll never start a business again. I'm going to just go work for people. And they never tried again. That's not the right attitude to take. If you fail at starting your business, failure should reinvigorate you to go try again. Failure should make you want to study harder. Failure should make you want to work on the recipes stronger. Whatever your business is, failure should get you re-locked into your purpose. I'm here to tell you, nothing drives you to your purpose like failure. Nothing drives you and rededicates you to your purpose like hurt, like pain. Listen, you single folk out there that's tuned in, you want to be with somebody in the future, and you want to be some good to them in the future. Don't be salty over the last relationship. Stop wishing folk bad from the last relationship. Y'all stop that immaturity and foolishness. Wish people well, learn your lesson from it, and then get re-locked in on your purpose so that when the next one comes, you are prepared for it. And if you prepared and re-locked on your purpose, you're going to do better the next time. Nothing prepares you for success. Nothing like pain, like hurt, like disappointments, like letdowns, whether you caused them or somebody else did. And I'm telling you, pain is one of those things that can really get you re-locked into your purpose. I'm about to probably record a YouTube video later on tonight. After I do this, I'm gonna grab a little quick bite to eat. It's late. That's part of the problem. No, I'm eating too late during the weekend. I gotta cut that out. But I'm gonna do a quick little video, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about this because a lot of people don't even realize that the thing that happened to you, the thing that hurt you for real, whether you had involvement with it or not, is really the thing that can get you locked into your purpose again. Y'all better listen to me. Y'all better listen to me. Stop letting pain, hurt, disappointment, failure, all that negativity create you or push you into these spirals where you spiral downward and you never re-lock into your purpose and re-lock into the things that you should be driving forward. Use the experience that you've gone through to lock back into your purpose so that when you lock into your purpose, you hit it stronger than you ever had before. All right? This is so important. This is critical, right? God tells Israel in that particular Isaiah text, he said, listen, don't be afraid. You belong to me. You hurt, mad. Don't be all of that. You belong to me. And sometimes you got to start over in pain. Sometimes you got to start over through heartache. Sometimes you got to start over through disappointment. Sometimes you have to start over through unideal situations. That's okay. That's okay. I was telling a member last week, was asking me about the church opening, tell her what things I'm working on and waiting to hear. And I was telling her, I said, rehab is not going to be the same. Now, rehab ain't going to be bad, but rehab is not going to be the same. It's going to be different. So because a lot of people have experienced a lot of things since the pandemic, and your pastor has experienced a lot of things since the pandemic, but these things have revived my drive for purpose. Have revived my drive for purpose. And that's what life, and especially hurt and pain and disappointment, should do. And if it doesn't, you end up spiraling downward, or you end up being no better than what you were in your past. And I'm convinced that when the pandemic is over, because we don't know when it's going to be over with this new variant, I got a feeling, spoiler alert, we're going to all be in masks again real soon. That's my 2 cents. Whatever. It ain't prophetic. I'm not being prophetic there. I'm just saying that. Me and some buddies were debating over that today. I just got a feeling it's coming. But regardless of all of that, when the pandemic is officially over, you're going to see some people are going to come out of these tough times the same way they were before, worse than what they were before, or they're going to come out better. They're going to come out the same as they were before, worse than what they were before, or they're going to come out better. And the people who came out better, I guarantee you, will have this one thing in common. The last 2.5 years were tough. There were struggles, there were challenges, there were failures, there were disappointments. But those things didn't kill me. They drove me to be refocused on my purpose. Mark my word. Everybody who comes out of this pandemic successful and doing better won't be people that didn't go through nothing. It will be people who use their pain to drive their purpose further. That's my 2 cents, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Here's the third reason why starting over is important, and I'm done. And I got to do this in 6 minutes. Third reason why starting over is important is this. All right. Y'all recording this stuff? Again, reason 1, sometimes doing nothing is more dangerous than moving forward. Reason 2, if you let it, pain can reinforce your purpose. And reason 3 is this. Record this. Your past wants to hold your future hostage. It is your past that wants to hold your future hostage. Man, this is so spiritual and practical tonight. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm telling you, people be missing out on life study during the week. Your past wants to hold your future hostage. It's the third reason why starting over is important, because your past wants to hold your future hostage. 2 Corinthians, I'm going to give you 2 texts. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 14 through 17, New Living Translation. That's 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 14 through 17 in the New Living Translation. And then 1 John chapter 1, verse 5 through 10 in the New Living Translation. 1 John chapter 1, verse 5 through 10 in the New Living Translation. Again, 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Go back and read these verses. I don't like to give you these things without scripture reference. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 14 through 17, New Living Translation. 1 John chapter 1, verse 5 through 10, New Living Translation. Your past wants to hold your future hostage. When you ever embrace that concept, then you realize you can't afford to stand still. You can't afford to wallow in failure. You can't afford to wallow in the things in your past that you didn't do right. And I'm going to tell you, you can't even afford to listen to people who keep you in your past. Because here's the reality. Some people like you better in your past. They like you better. They like the old you better. You know why? Because the old you is filled with flaws. The old you is filled with all kinds of crazy stuff and foolishness. The old you is filled with stupid decisions. The old you is filled with stuff, decisions you made you had no business doing. And people like you in that space because they feel like when they know your weaknesses, they have something over you. When they know where you've been, they have something over you. And it is the devil's job to keep you in that. And some people would love if you stayed at it. This is a fact. Right? So I'm here to challenge you tonight to understand that it is your past that wants to hold your future hostage. Your past literally wants you to live there. Your past literally wants you to stay there. Your past literally wants you to wallow there. And I'm going to talk about something, probably the second video I record this week, called Changing the Story. I'm going to explain something that I coach my clients through. I've counseled people through as a pastor. I've coached my clients through. It's something that has worked for me. When you go through a situation, you have to work to change the narrative of the story, right? And we have to realize we have power over the narrative. You may not have power over the facts, but you got power over the narrative, right? Remember, perspective doesn't happen to you. Perspective happens through you, right? You have power over the narrative concerning your life. So when things happen bad in your life, negative, bad, whatever, you have the ability to control the narrative or the meaning of what happened. And see, what we do is we allow the facts, we allow our family, we allow people who don't like us, we allow Facebook experts, we allow all of these people to control the narrative, to control the way we see our story, when none of them have that much power. None of them. If you lost your job, and whether you lost your job because they fired you because you are a horrible employee, or you lost your job because they asked you to take a new role that you didn't want, and so you said, I quit. Whatever the reason is, how you see that experience or what you get from that experience will be based on how you see the experience. Gosh, is this making sense to anybody? What you get from that firing or that walking away from that job will be based on your perspective of that experience. And if your perspective is, man, I can't keep a job. Every time I get a job, I get fired. Then guess what? You build that narrative in your mind. That narrative becomes a part of your story. And before you know it, you will find yourself not being able to keep a job because you have crafted in your mind a narrative, I can never keep a job. Well, Dr. Zed, what if I wasn't the greatest employee? What if I came late to work most days and I didn't perform the job the way they wanted me to? That's fine. And I appreciate your honesty. Now your narrative has to be, you know what? I had that position. I didn't give it my best. I wasn't the best employee I could have been. I didn't operate the machines as best as I could have. I didn't handle the clients I was given as best as I could have. I didn't serve the customers as best as I could have. Whatever your case is. And I know that next time when I'm given this opportunity, I've got to correct this, and this. That story, that narrative is far better than, well, they fired me because I was lazy and I couldn't do my job. Right? We have to understand that we have control over the narrative concerning the situations, the failures, the heartache, the heartbreaks, the disappointments of our past. And it starts with understanding that your past wants you to be miserable. Your past, like a lot of people, would prefer you to be stuck in it. To be stuck in your past, to be stuck in what went wrong, to be stuck if you've made some mistakes, to be stuck in your mistakes, to be apologizing for the next 10 years. You know, you meet folk like that, you offend, and they want you to apologize for the next 6 years. That kind of foolishness. No, your past wants you stuck there. But I'm telling you, you have the ability to change the narrative. And you got to change the narrative. Why? Because God's change gives us strength to overcome where we fail. I want you to record this. This is your last note for tonight. God's change in our lives gives us strength to overcome where we fail. God's change in our lives gives us strength to overcome where we fail. You don't have to live in failure. You have to live in disappointment. I don't care if the business failed. I don't care if you start the business and then you put in 2 hours a week and the business crumbled in 30 days. There should be a lesson in there. There should be a lesson in that failure. There is nothing, y'all. Listen, there is nothing in my entire life. There is literally nothing that I have failed in, experienced heartbreak in, disappointment in, let down in. People let me down. I let others down, whatever. There is nothing I've experienced in my life where I could not locate the lesson and use the lesson to create a narrative that would empower me to try and do better next time. And that's God's change in our life. When God empowers you to change the narrative, he then empowers you to have your life changed. See, your life changes when he empowers you to change the narrative, right? It's the difference between people. It's the difference between people who fail at 3 businesses and never learn from those failures and then go start working for other people versus people who fail 3 businesses, learn from all 3 failures, make the adjustments, start the 4th one, and it succeeds. See, God creates change in our lives when we learn how to change the narrative concerning our lives. This is powerful, man. Are y'all listening to me? He creates change in our lives when we learn how to change the narrative in our lives. You got to change the narrative. You have to change the story. And if you do that, then even if your past wants to hold your future hostage, your past can't hold your future hostage because you are changing the narrative concerning the events of your past. It's important. This is so practical, y'all. You've got to apply this to your life so that you don't get stuck and you find the courage to start over. Did this bless anybody tonight? Man, again, one of the more powerful, and I like that. Sometimes, Sister Ashley, you got to do that. I've had to tell myself that, Sister Ashley, I control the narrative. Care what happened. I don't care what people think. I don't care, how it feels at this time. I control the narrative concerning my life. I control the narrative concerning this situation. I control the way I'm going to see it. I control the way I'm going to allow it to impact me. I control the way I'm going to allow it to cause me to stay in the past or to regroup and start over in the future. I control all of that. So I like that, Sister Ashley. Sister Ashley, I control the narrative. Sometimes you have to tell yourself that. And when you do, you then find the strength to start over. Y'all got to stop wallowing in stuff that happened in the past. Stop letting the devil guilt trip you. Stop letting people guilt trip you. Stop letting family members guilt trip you over the past. Accept your role in what happens in the past. Learn from those past situations, experiences, and then create the narrative that empowers you to start over and try again. Did this make any sense to anybody tonight? I mean, did this make sense to anybody tonight? It doesn't get more practical than this, y'all. This is a powerful thing if you really apply it to your life. That again, careers, jobs, relationships, whatever, fill in the blank. These 3 things, you apply these 3 things, they work, right? Because the common denominator then becomes you. Let's pray, y'all. I want to pray over you. I want to pray over you tonight. You got a prayer request. I want you to type in your prayer request quickly. You got 25 Mississippi seconds. You got a prayer request. I want you to type in your prayer request really quickly. If it's a request that we cannot see, if you're watching live or even watching the replay, we cannot see your request. You can email your prayer request to info@rehabcc.org. That's info@rehabcc.org and put in the subject line prayer request. You can email your prayer request there. And once you put it in the subject line, it will come to me. I will respond to your prayer request. And every morning, 4:45 in the morning, I get up before I work out. I pray over your request that God would answer your prayers. Come on, you got 15 seconds. If you got a prayer request, I want you to type it in. They're rolling on Instagram. Thank y'all so much. Instagram always fills up the broadcast with prayer requests. I love it. Thank you so much. If you've got a prayer request, again, you got 10 seconds. I want you to type it. Even if you're trying to think about it as I start to pray, feel free to type in your request while I'm praying. I always go back and watch the replay, and we'll probably try to watch the replay sometime later tonight or no later than tomorrow. But if you've got a prayer request, type it in the comments now, because I want to pray over you. We're going to sow a seed. We're going to get off the broadcast. Connect your hands as a sign of symbol of faith. If you've typed in your prayer request, I want you to type it in. I want you to know I see your request. I go back, I'll rewatch the replay. I especially fast forward it to this part of the broadcast every single week, so I can see your prayer request if you've typed it in live and did not email it to us, because I want you to know that I'm praying specifically for you. All right, connect your hands like this as a sign of symbol of faith. Let's touch and agree, and let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, thank you tonight for your word. Thank you for this time of gathering and sharing you've given us. I pray that something was said that has encouraged somebody, that has convicted somebody, that has challenged somebody to live for you, serve you, do the will and work of your kingdom. I pray now, God, that this word on starting over will inspire somebody in a special way. Help us, God, to understand that it is the devil's job to keep us stagnant, to keep us still, to keep us silent, to keep us as the victim of our circumstances, the victim in our circumstances. But I thank you, God, for reminding us that we control the narrative. It ain't what happens to us, but it's what happens through us that determines eventually what will happen to us. And so help us, God, to be able to control the narrative concerning the things that happen in our lives, concerning the failures we've experienced, concerning any types of things that we've experienced that have not been positive. Help us to control those narratives so that we can press forward and be everything you called us to be and more. Now, God, for every prayer request that's come across this broadcast, that's been typed in live, that's been typed in through the replay, that has been emailed to our inbox, we lift these requests up to you, that you would answer these prayers, that you would make ways, open doors, meet needs, that you would grant heart's desires in a special way. That this week, the remainder of this week, might be a week that is filled with miracles, open doors, made ways, answered prayer requests of your people as only you can. God, we're believing you for these things, and we're counting them done tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Do me a favor. I want you to type in the comments quickly. It is so. If you prayed that prayer of faith with us, I want you to type in the comments really quickly. It is so tonight. I want you to know I am praying for you. I am praying for your family. I'm praying for your circumstance. I'm praying for your situation. I am praying for your ability to stay focused. I am praying for your ability to avoid distractions, especially in this season. I want you to avoid distractions and anything that might deter your focus so that you can be everything you've been designed to be and more. Satan indeed desires to have you, to sift you like wheat. But I'm praying for you that your faith fail you not. And especially in this season, some of you are this close, literally, to embarking into the greatest season of your life. You're this close. I told somebody this last week about my life. I literally feel like I'm this close to being in the greatest season of my life. And now ain't the time. Now is not the time for you to give up. Now is not the time for you to quit. I want you to hold on to your faith, hold on to your courage. Know that faith without works is dead. Pray, seek God, but then apply yourself every day to be everything that you can be and more, and watch things begin to happen in your life. Listen, y'all, I love y'all. Let me challenge you quickly to give. I almost forgot. Let me challenge you quickly to give tonight. I want to challenge you to give. You can give one of three ways. You can give via CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. You can give through our website, www.rehabcc.org. Or you can give by texting REHABWORKS to 88202. Again, that's CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. Our website, www.rehabcc.org. Or you can text REHABWORKS to 88202. And you can give either one of these three ways. And we believe that if you bless us, if you sow into this ministry, God will bless you. Good measure, pressed down, shaking together, and running over. I tell you, the word experiences here for the last couple of months have been insane. These have really been insane messages to kick off 2022. And we're almost in the fourth month of the year. So if you have not already, I want to challenge you to go back and watch the replays. Check out all of the series that we've taught. You can see everything lined up perfectly on YouTube and categorized there. If you want to go check that out, subscribe to our YouTube channel at the REHABCC and use this as inspiration, motivation. I probably watch, I don't know, or listen to rather, anywhere from 18 to 24 hours of YouTube every single day. Inspirational things that even motivate me while I'm working. I'll have my headphones on and I'm working, and all types of inspirational, motivational things. And so I challenge you to do that. Subscribe to our page. You'll see catalogs of messages that we've taught, especially during this COVID environment, this virtual environment. And I know there's a word in there somewhere that will bless you and encourage your life. All right. Listen, y'all, I love y'all. I'm praying for y'all. I'm out of time, not out of word. I'll see you this Sunday, 9:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another powerful experience. And I cannot wait to see you. Like this video, share this video, and I can't wait to see you this Sunday at 9:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. I love you guys. I'm praying for you. I'm rooting for you. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you Sunday. Peace and blessings.
For watching the Rehab Christian Center live experience. If this broadcast has been a blessing to you and you would like to be a blessing to our leader, Dr. Zeb Talley III, you can sow a seed into his ministry by CashAPP at $Pastor ZT3. It is our prayer that this message of hope encourage, enlighten, and empower you to be better. Please tune in Sunday at 9:08 a.m. for our Sunday morning experience. And as always, be blessed and have a wonderful week.